Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The topics of today's lecture are the interpeduncular fossa and interpeduncular cistern. Now, what is interpeduncular fossa and what is interpeduncular cistern? I will explain it. Now, this is a lateral view of the brain, forebrain, the cerebrum, midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, and behind the pons and medulla oblongata is cerebellum. Now, what is interpeduncular fossa? Here, there is a small triangular area. There is a depression here, a small depression. A small depression between the base of the cerebrum and anterior aspect of the midbrain. This small depression is known as the interpeduncular fossa. Now, what is the interpeduncular cistern? Now, what is cistern? Now, again, lateral view of the brain and brainstem, cerebellum behind. Supralateral surface of the cerebrum, then lateral aspect of the midbrain, and then below the midbrain is the pons. Behind the pons and medulla oblongata is cerebellum. And below the pons is the medulla oblongata. Now I told you that there are three parts of the meninges. The inner one is known as the pia mater. This is pia mater, which is closely applied to the surfaces of brain and spinal cord. This is pia mater. It is closely applied to the surfaces of brain and spinal cord. Even it penetrates the brain along with the blood vessels. So it is not easy to remove it from the surfaces of brain. Then I told you outside is the arachnoid matter. Outside the pia mater is arachnoid matter. And still outside the arachnoid matter is the dura mater. This middle one next to the pia mater is arachnoid mater. And still outside the arachnoid mater, this is dura mater. Now you can see between the pia mater and arachnoid mater, there is subarachnoid space. And you know, this space is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. It circulates through it. But there are some wider areas of subarachnoid space. These wider areas of subarachnoid space are known as cisterns, wider areas of subarachnoid space are known as cisterns. So there are many types of cisterns, and one of these cistern is known as the interpedunculair cistern. Can you see here between the basal surface of the cerebrum and anterior aspect of the midbrain? Can you see the subarachnoid space is wider? This is pia mater, this is arachnoid mater, and here in the angle between inferior surface of cerebrum and anterior surface of the midbrain, this wider part of the subarachnoid space filled with CSF, it is known as the interpeduncular cistern. Now, as I told you that there are other cisterns also. Can you see here in front of the pons and in front part of the medulla oblongata, there is another cistern known as the cisterna pontis. Can you see here below the cerebellum and posterior aspect of the medulla oblongata, again the subarachnoid space is wider, known as the cerebellomedullary cistern. So there are other cisterns also that we will discuss later on in detail. But at this stage, we are concerned with interpendicular cistern. So make a difference what is interpeduncular fossa and what is interpeduncular cistern. The interpeduncular fossa is this small space which is between the base of the cerebrum and anterior aspect of the midbrain. This is the interpeduncular fossa. And this wider part of the subarachnoid space in front of the midbrain and below the inferior surface of the cerebrum filled with the CSF is known as interpeduncular cistern. Now, these are definitions. What is interpeduncular fossa and what is interpeduncular cistern? Now we will discuss the interpeduncular fossa. Now this diagram shows the basal surface of cerebrum and anterior aspect of brainstem. You know, brainstem comprised of midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. You can see this is right cerebral hemisphere, this is left cerebral hemisphere, this is frontal pole, temporal pole, and occipital pole is hidden and covered by cerebellum. Now this is cerebellum. This green one is the pons. This is medulla oblongata. Now, this is midbrain. Now, midline structure, you can see the optic chiasma. Then behind the optic chiasma is tubal cynarium. Still behind the tubal cynarium, there are two bodies called mammillary bodies. Behind the mammillary body, there is a area which is perforated by blood vessels known as the posterior perforated substance. This is right and left optic nerves. Remnant of the right and left optic nerve. This is the orbital part of the inferior surface of cerebral hemisphere. This is tentorial part of the basal surface or inferior surface of the cerebral hemisphere. Then you know the cerebellum also comprises of right and left cerebellar hemispheres. So suppose this is right cerebellar hemisphere, this is left cerebellar hemisphere. In the midline, the cerebellum is hidden by the pons and medulla oblongata. In this way, you can see the inferior or basal surface of the cerebrum along with the midline structures, and then anterior aspect of the midbrain, anterior aspect of the pons, and anterior aspect of the medulla oblongata. For example, here in the model, this view, the inferior surface or basal surface of cerebral hemisphere, then anterior surface of the midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, and behind the pons and medulla oblongata, this is one cerebellar hemisphere and this is the other cerebellar hemisphere. So you can see the basal surface of cerebrum, anterior aspect of the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. Now our topic is what is the interpeduncular fossa. Now our topic, as I told you, is interpeduncular fossa. Now first of all, what is extent of the interpeduncular fossa? Anteriorly, it starts from optic chiasm and below the midpoint of the upper border of the pons. This is pons, this is upper border of the pons, and this is lower border of the pons. Its junction with the medulla oblongata. This is upper border of the pons. So interpeduncular fossa, it extends from optic chiasma anteriorly to the midpoint of the upper border of the pons below. This is extent of the interpeduncular fossa. And what are the boundaries of interpeduncular fossa? So first of all, we talk about the extent of interpeduncular fossa. It extends from optic chiasma anteriorly to the midpoint of the upper part of the pons posteriorly. Next, what are boundaries? Of interpeduncular fossa. Now, anterolaterally, on each side. Can you see the optic tract? You know, optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract. So, anteriorly is the optic chiasma. Anteriorly is optic chiasma. And anterolaterally on each side are the optic tracts. Anteriorly is the optic chiasma, anterolaterally optic tract on this side, and you can see again optic tract on the other side. Next, posterolaterally. Again on each side are crus cerebri. Of midbrain. Now you can see here from here up to here, this is midbrain. Can you see these two pillar-like structures on the anterior aspect of the midbrain? This is right crus cerebrus and this is left crus cerebrus, and in the middle is interpeduncular fossa of the midbrain. So this is crus cerebrus. Crus stand for leg, leg-like. So anteriorly optic chiasma, it is bounded anteriorly by optic chiasma, anterolaterally optic tract on the right side and on the left side. Then posterolaterally, right crus cerebrus of the midbrain and left crus cerebrus of the midbrain. Inferiorly, you can see this is the pons and this is upper part of the pons. So this midpoint of the upper part of the pons. Posteriorly is the midpoint, mid part of upper border of pons. Now we are talking about the boundaries of interpeduncular fossa. I will again repeat with the help of this diagram. You can see anteriorly it is bounded by the optic chiasma, anterolaterally on right side and left side are right and left optic tracts. Then posterolaterally on each side, crus cerebri of the midbrain. This is right crus cerebrus of the midbrain, and this is left crus cerebrus of the midbrain. This whole is the anterior aspect of the midbrain. And posteriorly, this mid part of the upper border of the pons. So these are boundaries. So first of all, we discuss the extent from where up to which point the interpedunculair fossa extends. Anteriorly from optic chiasma, posteriorly upper border of the pons mid part. Now what are boundaries on each side? And anteriorly and posteriorly. The anterior boundary you can see is the optic chiasma. Then anterolaterally is the optic tract on each side. Posterolaterally is the crus cerebri of the midbrain on each side. And then here posteriorly is the mid part of the upper border of the pons. These were the boundaries of the interpedunculair fossa. Now, can you see these are the limits or boundaries of the interpedunculair fossa? And what is this? Floor of the interpedunculair fossa. Now, our next topic is what are the structures found in the floor of interpedunculair fossa? Structures found in the floor of interpedunculair fossa. Now, what are the structures? You are familiar with all these structures because we discussed these again and again in the previous lectures. So, these are the structures found in the floor of the interpedunculair fossa. So, from before backward, what are the structures? Can you see the tuber cinereum? You know, this tuber cinereum is a layer of gray matter and it projects downwards in the form of a small conical projection called medial eminence, and from the median eminence, the pituitary stalk runs downwards to which the pituitary gland is attached. Then still behind the tuber cinereum, there are two bodies, mammillary bodies. This is the right mammillary body and this is the left mammillary body. Behind the mammillary body, again, here the brain tissue show perforations known as the posterior perforated substance. Just like here, this is olfactory bulb, tract, stia, and this was anterior perforated substance on the left side and here on the right side. So there are two anterior perforated substances, but in the floor of the interpedunculair fossa, in the midline, there is posterior perforated substance. This posterior perforated substance is not only on the basal surface of the cerebrum, but extend downwards to the anterior aspect of the midbrain between right and left crus cerebri. This is called interpedunculair fossa between the crus cerebri of the midbrain. So this posterior perforated extend downwards, and that we will discuss later with the midbrain. This is posterior perforated substance because it is perforated by the central branches of the circle of Willis and the posterior cerebral arteries. Central branches of posterior cerebral arteries and circle of Willis, they penetrate to enter the structures inside the brain substance. So, what are the structures found in the floor of interpedunculair fossa? From before downwards, tuber cinereum located just behind the optic chiasma. Pituitary gland and stalk is not shown here because it's the inferior view. And then you can see the right and left mammillary bodies. Behind is the posterior perforated substance. These are the structures seen in the floor of the interpedunculaire fossa. So again, I will repeat, I explained what is interpedunculaire fossa. Then what is its extent until it starts behind the optic chiasma and behind up to the mid part of the upper border of the pons. Then what are its boundaries? Anterior boundary is optic chiasma. Anterolateral boundary on each side is the optic tract. Posterolateral boundary on each side is the crus cerebri of the midbrain. And the lower boundary is the mid part of the upper border of the pons. This whole is the pons. Now this is the upper border of the pons. These are the boundaries. Now between these boundaries, this is floor of the interpedunculaire fossa. Now, which structures will be seen in the floor of the interpedunculaire fossa? Just behind the optic chiasma is the tuber cinereum. Below that is the median animus. Still below that is the infundibulum and the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland and infundibulum is not shown here. Then behind the tuber cinereum, in the floor are right and left mammillary bodies, and still behind the mammillary body there is a small area in the midline which show perforations to the posterior perforated substance, which is perforated by the central branches of the circle of Willis and posterior cerebral artery. These were the structures found in the interpedunculaire fossa. Now, what are the contents of this fossa? Next, heading contents of interpedunculaire fossa. Here there are two structures. It is number one is the interpedunculaire cistern. Interpedunculaire cistern. And number two, within this cistern, within the interpedunculaire cistern is circle of Willis. Circle of Willis. These are the contents of interpedunculaire fossa. What are the contents in this fossa? Interpedunculaire cistern is in the region of interpedunculaire fossa. And what is inside the interpedunculaire cistern is the circle of Willis and arterial anastomosis called circle of Willis. Now, what is interpedunculaire cistern? In the previous diagram, I have shown the interpedunculaire system that is just below the base of the cerebrum and anterior aspect of the midbrain. The subarachnoid space is wider, filled with cerebrospinal fluid. That is known as the interpedunculaire system. So what is inside the interpedunculaire system? CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. And which structure floats in the CSF within the cistern is circle of Willis and arterial anastomosis. So there is a cistern in the region of interpedunculaire fossa, and within this cistern, floating in the cerebrospinal fluid, is the circle of Willis. Now, I already explained what is interpendicular system, the wider subarachnoid space filled with cerebrospinal fluid. And in this is again another structure called circle of Willis. So if you're asked what are the contents of interpedicular fossa, these are the main contents. Interpedicular cistern occupy the interpedicular fossa, and within this cistern, floating in the cerebrospinal fluid, is an arterial circle called circle of Willis. Now briefly we will discuss what is arterial circle. The circle of Willis. Now these are two vertebral arteries. Right vertebral artery and left vertebral artery. At the level of lower part of the pons, what happens? The right and left vertebral arteries, they join together to form basilar artery, which is sent in front of the anterior surface of the pons. This is basilar artery. At the upper part of the pons, the basilar artery terminates by dividing into posterior cerebral arteries. This is right posterior cerebral artery and this is left posterior cerebral artery. Now let me first label these arteries. As I told you, this is right vertebral artery and this is left vertebral artery. These two join together to form a single trunk known as the basilar artery. Above the basilar artery divide into right and left posterior cerebral arteries. Right posterior cerebral artery and this is left posterior cerebral artery. So basilar artery terminate by dividing into these two major arteries called right and left posterior cerebral arteries. Now here is the great vessel known as the internal carotid artery. This is right and this is left cut end of the internal carotid artery. Right internal carotid artery. And of course, this is left internal left internal carotid artery. Now the internal carotid artery divide into two branches. That is middle cerebral artery. This is wall of the internal carotid artery. Right and left internal carotid arteries, and this is one of its branch, that is middle cerebral artery. The major artery is internal carotid artery. This is middle cerebral artery. This is left middle cerebral artery, and this is right middle cerebral artery. Then two other branches are anterior cerebral arteries. This is right anterior cerebral artery, and this is left anterior cerebral artery. Right anterior cerebral artery, and this is left anterior cerebral artery. The internal carotid artery, which is a major artery, divide into the middle cerebral artery and anterior cerebral artery. The basilar artery divide into posterior cerebral artery. So we have two anterior cerebral arteries, two middle cerebral arteries, and two posterior cerebral arteries, anterior, middle, and posterior cerebral arteries. They divide into cortical branches and central branches. Cortical branches supply the outer part, that is the cerebral cortex, the gray matter outside. And the central branches, I told you, they penetrate through the anterior perforated substance. They penetrate through the anterior perforated substance on each side and posterior perforated substance. They enter the cerebrum and supply the nuclei which are located inside. Now, the major blood supplies from internal carotid arteries in the basilar artery. Now, these then intercommunicate with communicating arteries. This is posterior communicating artery on each side. Posterior communicating artery. This is right posterior communicating, and this is left posterior communicating artery. This is right posterior communicating artery. Now these are right and left anterior cerebral arteries. These are also interconnected with one another by another communicating artery called anterior communicating artery, which interconnect the right and left anterior cerebral arteries. This communicating channel is called anterior communicating artery. So I will again brief about the circle of Willis. The right and left vertebral arteries join together to form a common trunk known as the basilar artery. The basilar artery ends by dividing into right posterior cerebral artery and left posterior cerebral artery. Then main vessel on the right and left side internal carotid artery, which divide into anterior cerebral artery and posterior cerebral artery. The posterior cerebral artery communicate with the posterior cerebral artery communicate with the middle cerebral artery by communicating channel known as the posterior communicating artery. This is right posterior communicating artery, this is left. Then these are two anterior cerebral arteries. When they approximate each other, they are interconnected by another communicating artery, which is known as the anterior communicating artery. Can you see there is an arterial circle? This circle, arterial circle, is known as circle of Willis. Or circulus arteriosus. Circle of Willis or circulus arteriosus. Now, what are its relation with different structures? For example, as you can see, this is pons, anterior surface of the pons, and here is the midbrain, right crus cerebrus, and left crus cerebrus. Midbrain, this is pons. So at the lower border of the pons, you can see at the lower border of the pons, the right and left vertebral arteries join to form basal artery. Then the basal artery ascend over the anterior aspect of the pons. This is the upper border of the pons. And at the upper border of the pons, the basal artery ends by dividing into right and left posterior cerebral arteries. Then midbrain, and then again the basal surface. So you can see all parts of this arterial anastomosis known as the circle of Willis or circulus arteriosus. It is contained inside the interpedunculaire system. So here there is interpedunculaire system filled with cerebrospinal fluid, and within this system is this arterial anastomosing system known as the circle of Willis. Sometimes the cerebrospinal fluid is stained by blood. Why? Because the blood vessels are inside the subarachnoid space, floating in the cerebrospinal fluid. So if any of these minute vessels are aneurysm, they are ruptured, there will be bleeding into the cerebrospinal fluid, and the CSF is then blood stain. So this was the topic of this lecture. We discussed the interpeduncular fossa, what are its boundaries, and what are different structures seen in the floor of this interpeduncular fossa, and what are the contents, very important contents, the interpeduncular cistern, and this cistern is also occupied by this arterial circle, circulus arteriosus, floating in the cerebrospinal fluid. Thank you very much.